Okay, excuse the appearance. I am glistening because it is a humid 90 degrees, which I know in some states is nothing, but in Wisconsin, we are hot. We are hot out here. Okay, so today I made a blog kind of about the difference when navigating the inspection contingency between a defect and kind of the end of a lifespan. So I guess, for example, when you're talking about some of the bigger ticket items like a roof or, say, windows, HVAC, things like that, some of the things that may come up on inspection, an inspector may say, hey, like the roof there's no leaks, maybe some minor repairs need to be made, but there's no defects. So if you're a buyer, you may hear that and say, hey, like next year I may have to get, I may have a $20,000 repair that I have to do. The roof may need to be repaired next year. I want this to be taken care of. As a seller, what you're hearing is there's no defect. So this is something I think quite a bit actually that comes up in inspections, and you kind of get both points. As a seller, you don't want to have to fix something that's not a defect. It's working. There's nothing technically wrong with it right now. Since they've been living there, they haven't had issues with it. But as a buyer, if you know that that's something that's going to come up in the near future that you're going to have to kind of take into consideration for your finances, it kind of all factors in. So you kind of see both sides, but I guess when it comes down to the actual contract, yes, you're talking about what is actually a defect and what can you actually ask to be repaired. So yes, when it comes to something that you can ask to be, I guess it depends on how it's written to the contract, but typically it has to be considered a defect. So if something is technically at the end of its lifespan but still is in proper condition and working, you cannot ask for that technically to be fixed. Now, this is where you are hopefully working, like you each are going to have your own representation. You're each going to have your own realtor that you're working with. And if you're working with good realtors, a lot of times they will kind of be able to work together and come to some sort of, negotiations where, hey, maybe you can negotiate a home warranty where, either the seller or the buyer can have a home warranty provided. Maybe the seller will be willing to offer some sort of credit, that's a seller's credit, where the buyer can use that money post-closing to take care of the roof after closing. So there's different things, and I think this is where it's like really crucial to have good realtors that you're working with. And a lot of times in these situations, the realtors, we want your best interest too, and we want both parties to come together and to get to the finish line, and for everyone to be happy, to come to some sort of conclusion that makes sense and is fair. By the terms of the contract, you're looking at defects. So for something to technically be at the end of the lifespan, no. Do you understand where buyer's coming from when take in an all costs? Yes. So can you typically, when it comes to negotiations, figure something out? Yes. And that's why it's important to work with good realtors, because they will kind of navigate that process for you and kind of come to an agreement that is fair. So check out our blog if you have any questions on that. But yeah, it's something that comes up in a lot of our negotiations, kind of defect versus end of the lifespan when it comes to big ticket items.